assisting Kathy Hammer here in establishing Vintage Orchard in honor of John Jacob Astor, who was one of a former owner of the property, and putting in vintage apple trees to commemorate his memory on this day of April 15th, 100 years after the sinking of the Titanic. These trees we've picked out together. They're vintage trees of the time era that he resided here and owned this property, and so we picked those varieties specifically for that reason. It is something that's out of the ordinary that you can't get typically other places. So she wanted to plant some varieties here that were unique. So we picked some that were derived from New York State and some from Europe, which the Titanic sailed from. We've chosen varieties that'll do fairly well in this soil, which is a little heavier here along the river. So that's why we've picked the varieties, the variety of rootstocks that we have. We're planting Newtown Pippins, which is supposedly I haven't tasted it, but from everything I've read about it, it's an excellent apple, good eating apple. It was one of Thomas Jefferson's favorite apples. He wrote when he was in Paris, he says they have some wonderful apples here in Europe, but they have nothing to compare to our Newtown Pippin. And he actually planted them on his estate Monticello. And George Washington and Ben Franklin as well. They were one of their favorite apples as well. So they date back, the Newtown Pippin dates back to the early 1700s. It was originally found in what is now Queens, New York. It was Long Island at the time, and so it's a New York State apple and relatively fairly local to this area. So the other varieties we're planting are Pound Sweet, which was an apple that was used extensively, came in Ohio. They made a lot of apple butter with it during the Civil War, and the apple butter ended up on both sides of the battlefield. But Pound Sweet is a nice eating apple. Another apple we're planting is King of Tompkins County. Again, another apple from New York, which is a nice eating apple. It came from Tompkins County originally. We're planting some Margils. It's a French variety. It's a smaller apple, somewhat russeted, but it's supposed to be a nice flavorful apple. We're planting some Summer Rambo, which is one of the first apples known, and that was planted extensively in France as well. So we're planting 5 varieties, and then another variety that we hope to plant next year is the Sophus Spitzenberg, which is basically came from across the river, which is viewable from right here. So that's another variety we want to get in next year, and we'll continue the rows and finish out these next year. So it's a multi-year project. It's not going to be completed in one season, but all good things take time and come to pass. Now, just because these are vintage trees, we're planting them a vintage way. Today, normally you plant a tree, you use a tree planter, where you sit on a tractor pulls a machine, you sit on the machine and it cuts a furrow in the ground and opens up, you drop the tree in the furrow, and then it has closures that close the ground up behind it and puts the tree in the ground. But because we're doing a smaller job here, I need a shovel, okay? We decided to auger these in, which is more typical of the way you would have done it 25, 30 years ago. And of course, when John Jacob Astor was alive, they would have put the trees in all by a shovel and man, but at that time trees were put in 40 feet by 40 feet was a standard size planting, and that was 40 trees to the acre. Today, the high density plantings are planting 1,000 to 1,200 trees to the acre. They're planting as close as 4 feet in the row and 11 feet between the rows. Our spacing here, we chose a moderate one of 7 by 14. So. All right, let's get the next variety in.
A little closer to you.
Right there?
Very much.
Now we plant the cyan, which is the variety on the top. This is where it's grafted to the rootstock, and you plant this to the north so that the tree, when it grows, will grow to the sun and straighten that out. So you always try to face your tree one direction, so when it grows it straightens. You get a nice straight growing tree. Most people don't know that you can't plant a seed and get the variety of apple from the seed apple you took it from. All apples are grafted so that they're true to variety. We should be able to harvest some of these apples in 3 years, providing Mother Nature is good to us and we get the right conditions. If not, we're going to have to, help them along with irrigation and tend them. But we should be able to pick a few apples on the third year, what we call the third leaf.